Investors' sudden thirst for Coke and Pepsi. In today's cover story, corporations saluting our nation's veterans by hiring our heroes. Plus, does Verizon have a plan to steal Apple's thunder this Christmas? And get into the swing of tax man's secrets for paying less for a round of golf. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning. I'm Angela Miles. It's Monday, November 17th. In our first look, score number 4. Stocks post a fourth straight week of gains, even as the market ended little changed. Gold had a big turnaround Friday and rallied $28 per ounce, as did oil, which gained $1.75 per barrel. Treasury rebound. U.S. Treasuries make a comeback as the latest consumer sentiment survey shows. Americans are sensing that inflation is becoming less of a concern. And talking turkey, the price of big birds are expected to be 8 to 10% higher for Thanksgiving this year. Trader Alan Neckman of Bullseye Options joins us on this Monday morning. Happy Monday to you, Alan.
Good morning, Angie.
What will matter most to traders this week?
Well, we're looking for follow-through from the last 4 weeks of positive action. New highs again last week, but I think what's really important is a focus on the dollar. The dollar had a key reversal Friday, made new highs, and then closed lower. So that could provide some relief to some beaten-down asset classes that haven't participated in this rally. I'm talking, believe it or not, gold. Gold had a nice bottom here after having that key reversal itself 2 weeks ago. So that push-up that we saw last week, we get some follow-through and back about 1,200, you could really see some short scramble, and everybody has been negative in the gold market.
That is so true, Alan. And what about the oil market?
Well, the oil market did have a bounce last week as well, made some new relative lows. It's going to be impacted by the dollar. But I think there are other aspects of it that are affected by oil. If you look at the Canadian dollar currency, I think that has been hurt by oil prices and the strong dollar. I think that's an indirect play. But oil, relief there could help out the stock market in general because that whole sector has been beaten down so hard that it's really held the market back. With oil playing ball, we could really see a catalyst to the upside in our stock indexes once again.
Very quickly before you take off, give me one stock name you are watching this week that you might want to buy.
I'm looking at ABX. It's bottomed out at $12. We had bullish divergence, meaning it made new lows here recently, but did not make new highs in volatility. The midpoint is 16, which is about 25 or 30% up above. And like I said, it's a value play for gold. I look at options for the long term, look at June or maybe January of next year, because I think there could be a bit of a short squeeze and a bit of recovery in this gold when the pressure of that strong dollar is relieved.
Alan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ted Coppola leads off our news segment with a new way to trade in China.
China launches its Shanghai listed shares to foreign investors today. The Shanghai Hong Kong Stock Connect will give global investors direct access to Shanghai's A shares, including blue chip companies. 5 investment banks, including Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, will offer investment strategies. Analysts say the plan is to bring global expertise to the markets and raise investing standards to international levels.
Plenty is happening on Capitol Hill this week. The Senate is expected to vote tomorrow on the Keystone Pipeline bill. Friday, the Republican-led House approved the Keystone measure. At last check, supporters of the pipeline were just one vote shy of the 60 needed to overcome a filibuster that could block procedure. President Obama is urging lawmakers not to short-circuit the process as the State Department reviews the pipeline proposal. The president is also sticking to plans to fix what he calls a broken immigration system by the end of the year.
There has been ample opportunity for Congress to pass a bipartisan immigration bill that would strengthen our borders, improve the legal immigration system, lift millions of people out of the shadows so they are paying taxes and getting right by the law.
But the president says more than a year later, that has not happened. The president is considering using executive action that is within the legal boundaries of the law.
The president has been told over and over and over again, and we're telling him again today, don't do this, because his executive actions are not permanent changes.
The president's action plan on immigration could be revealed this week.
In Europe, Germany escapes falling into recession. The latest GDP numbers out of the Eurozone show Germany, the region's powerhouse economy, grew by 0.1%, just barely dodging falling into a recession. In Greece, however, that economy hit a milestone by emerging from recession. However, economists say it's still a long road ahead for Europe, which is still struggling with high unemployment. The European Central Bank is currently trying to revive the economy with stimulus measures.
In the U.S., retail sales came in better than predicted, adding to hopes for a happy holiday season. Retail sales increased 0.3% last month. A 0.2% gain was expected by economists. Lower prices at the pump are driving consumers to spend more at stores. Retailers report solid sales of clothes, furniture, and personal care products.
A group of Walmart employees is set to go on strike on the busiest shopping day of the year. Workers are demanding wage increases and more consistent full-time hours. If Walmart fails to act, employees say they will hit the picket lines at 1,600 stores on Black Friday. Last week in California, 23 Walmart employees were arrested for disrupting traffic with wage protests. A Walmart spokesman says employees have unparalleled advancement opportunities.
Just in time for Christmas, Verizon has taken the wraps off its destination store on Chicago's Magnificent Mile. The Verizon shop is a few doors down from a popular Apple store. Similar to Apple, Verizon's destination store has 2 floors and is filled top to bottom with gadgets and accessories.
It's our first 2-level store that we've ever opened. It's our largest location in the country that Verizon Wireless has ever opened. As well, it's the most intuitive. So you can walk around, touch, feel, play with everything that we have to offer, and make sure that you see what the power of your device is and what Verizon Wireless can do for you.
Verizon stock closed last at $51.50. Apple shares hit another record high Friday, closing at $114.
Investors are feeling the pain of problems at car rental company Hertz. The stock lost 4.5% Friday. The selling spree followed word that Hertz is expanding its restatement of results. The company admits there are accounting errors dating back to 2012 and that restated results won't be filed until the middle of next year. Revenue is also hurting at Hertz.
Hedge fund Jana Partners wants burgers and a steak in McDonald's. The fund discloses it's taking a larger stake in the restaurant chain. An SEC filing shows the hedge fund now holds more than 800,000 shares of McDonald's and an option to buy up to 200,000 more shares. That is an estimated value of $80 million. The news increased investor appetite for the stock. Shares rallied to $96.21 on Friday.
Senator Elizabeth Warren is pushing back against President Obama's pick for a Treasury official. Politico reports that the Massachusetts senator plans to oppose the nomination of Wall Street banker Antonio Weiss to Treasury Undersecretary. Weiss advised Burger King's takeover of Canadian donut chain Tim Hortons. Warren is a fierce Wall Street critic and called for the breakup of big banks following the financial crisis. An advisor for Warren tells Politico Warren has concerns about the administration being loaded with so many appointees from Wall Street.
After 4 years on the job, Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe is ready to retire. Chief Operating Officer Megan Brennan takes his place and will become the first female Postmaster General and CEO. Donahoe retires February 1st. He took the helm during the financial crisis and a time of declining first-class mail. In the last year, the Postal Service set a record for productivity, reported a $569 million revenue increase and a $5.5 billion loss.
Takata faces a criminal probe after a 5th death linked to its airbags. Takata is being investigated in the U.S. for possible criminal activities, which include accusations of hiding the problem over the last 6 years. In some accidents, defective airbags have exploded and sent metal shards into the vehicle. Honda is expanding to nearly 16,000 recalls after a driver in Malaysia died in an airbag incident in July. And Toyota told its dealers to disable airbags in recalled models if the airbags could not be fixed.
A hidden trend in the auto market is helping boost car sales off the record. It's due to surging sales of certified pre-owned vehicles, used cars that are typically inspected and certified by a manufacturer. Numbers of pre-owned cars are not factored into the government's monthly tracking of auto sales. Wall Street firm Convergix reports pre-owned sales jumped 10% in October versus the 6.1% rise in new car sales.
Investors are on board with Virgin America's IPO. The stock opened at $23 and flew more than 30% higher to close at $30. The airline, owned by Richard Branson, is now worth about $1 billion. Its stylish cabins and white leather seats have attracted flyers looking for a more luxurious flying experience. The carrier's hubs are in Los Angeles and San Francisco, and it plans to expand to New York's LaGuardia, Washington's Reagan National, and Dallas's Love Field. It also flies to Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, and Puerto Vallarta.
Also new to the stock market, Parkinson's drug developer NeuroDerm. Shares opened below its midpoint range of $14.50 and closed down 6% at $9.39. Tomorrow, commercial real estate firm Store Capital debuts. The stock is expected to price between $17 to $19 per share. It will trade under symbol STORE. Wednesday, a REIT comes to market, Paramount Group. The price range is $16 to $19. The symbol PGRE. And Adama Agricultural Solutions, a crop protection company, is likely to price around $16 to $18 per share under Adam.
Reports say the company that makes Twinkies is up for sale again. Fortune reports that the owner of Hostess Brands is planning to put the treat maker up for sale in early 2015. Hostess is said to be worth $1.7 billion. Apollo Global Management and C. Dean Metropoulos brought Hostess out of bankruptcy last year.
Checking the economic calendar for today, it's the Empire manufacturing numbers, industrial production, and capacity utilization. On the earnings calendar, just a couple of big names, Urban Outfitters and Tyson Foods. Still to come, how to exercise a tax deduction on the game of golf. Plus, corporate America tries to combat veteran unemployment. And who says it doesn't pay to go to college? Wait until you hear how much money top MBAs are taking home for their first gigs.
Cover story. Post 9/11 military veterans are returning from battle and finding themselves fighting for jobs. Now, an outdoors company is trying to take a stab at it while promoting its brand with a nationwide ad campaign and a cover of a famous folk song.
This land is your land.
Outdoor equipment and clothing company The North Face has begun its biggest advertising campaign ever. The company commissioned the band My Morning Jacket to record a version of Woody Guthrie's This Land Is Your Land and set it to inspiring images of famous athletes from the great outdoors. It's a soft sell with a component to help veterans and millennials having a hard time finding work. The song may be downloaded from iTunes for $1.29. After Apple takes its cut, the remaining money will go to the 21st Century Conservation Service Corps, a program run through the Interior Department to hire veterans and young people to restore public lands.
They may be helping wildlife biologists ban birds to figure out what's happening with bird migration or what's happening with the health of different species. They may be working alongside botanists on removing invasive species and planting native species. They may learn about jobs in historic preservation.
Also, the North Face, which reported $2 billion in revenues last year, is contributing $250,000 to launch the program.
If this is the beginning of an investment that's followed up or that leads other competitors to make investments, that would certainly be a good thing.
A media tour recently featured both Interior Secretary Jewell and Aaron Carpenter, Vice President of Global Marketing for the North Face.
The North Face is all about inspiring people to get out and explore. And so this program makes perfect sense for us.
Veterans advocates, hesitant to discourage any effort to address veteran unemployment, hope it helps.
This might be a good partnership between a corporation and other corporations. It'd be great if this expanded and we got more veterans engaged.
This land was made for you and me.
The Interior Secretary says the number of people who may be hired and may receive a stipend for their work is dependent upon how many people download the song.
MBAs are pulling in mega money in their first jobs. A graduate of the MBA program at the Sloan School at MIT claims to be earning $1.8 million in total compensation after accepting a position with a real estate company. Also, according to the Bloomberg Businessweek survey, a Columbia B School MBA is taking home a $1 million signing bonus from a consulting firm. Last year's top pay of $375,000 went to a Northwestern University Kellogg grad for an investment management job. Coming up, the stock that is suddenly bubbling up with activity. Plus, how to save green on the green. A little known tax deduction that may be worth a swing. A round of golf can be turned into a tax break. Here to explain the tee-off, write-off, Andrew Poulos, president of Poulos Accounting and Consulting. Good morning. And it sounds a tad sketchy, but fill us in on how to work it on the golf course.
Of course, there's always guidelines within tax laws, so they have to follow proper procedures to get a write-off, but certainly it's an option.
What is that correct procedure? We would not want anyone to get into trouble with the IRS.
Yeah, well, we certainly don't want anyone to get in trouble with the IRS, not during these times. The golf falls under the meals and entertainment category, which oftentimes is scrutinized more by the IRS. So the key is that good record keeping is what goes a long way when it comes to writing off golf or any other meal and entertainment expense. So it's receipts, record keeping, things such as that should be kept in files while the tax return is under the statute of limitations. So if you go golfing essentially and you take out a client or even a prospective client for that matter, what needs to happen is you need to keep all your receipts, your documentation for expenses, and you need a note on the receipts who you entertained, what you discussed during or after or before the event, basically, so you have good record keeping.
Do you know anyone who's ever run into tax trouble after writing off golf?
No, I've never had any of my clients who play golf and entertain their prospective clients or existing clients, and they discuss business. It's a legitimate deduction, and certainly none of my clients have ever had a problem with it. It falls under meals and entertainment. The one thing that I do want folks to understand is that meals and entertainment under the tax code is a 50% deduction. So for every dollar that they spend entertaining a client on the golf course and discussing business, that only 50% of it will be deductible.
Well, great to have you on the show. Thank you. That was really interesting and helpful.
Thank you for having me.
Still to come, what traders see in the charts following a sudden pop in Pepsi. Joining us now for our Chart Talk is James Romali of Option Hacker. Good to have you here, James.
Good morning.
I have been watching the options market, and there's a lot happening in Pepsi, which is highly unusual because usually this stock is a bit of a snooze fest. What do you see here? Because the stock is popping.
Right, absolutely. We're seeing the stock move higher, and both Pepsi and Coca-Cola have both been gathering some options interest here going into the end of the year. And we see that there's a lot of bullish order flow looking for bigger moves to the upside in both stocks through the end of December and the beginning of January of 2015. So I like both of these names. I constantly look for good potential long setups in them. If I had to pick one over the other, though, I like Coca-Cola a little bit better because it pulled back a little bit more than Pepsi did during that October correction.
Urban Outfitters reports earnings tonight. What do you see in the options paper there?
Right, so Urban Outfitters is a relatively weak performer on earnings. It sold off 5 of the past 8 quarters with an average move just above 4.5%. Now, there could be some upside surprises here because we did see really strong earnings and really strong moves to the upside out of other retailers like Macy's and Nordstrom. However, the options market this time around is implying a move of around 6.7% by Friday's expiration in Urban Outfitters. I think that's a little bit too much. They're pricing in a little bit too much movement here. So I'm going to look to fade that movement using a strategy called an iron butterfly.
What is your trade on McDonald's? McDonald's rallied on Friday on word that JANA Partners is taking a larger stake in the company.
Right, so we get this news that JANA is going to take a larger stake in MCD. Now, what's really interesting is that we saw a lot of bullish options activity ahead of that announcement, and then we saw the stock follow through and move higher. Now, their targets were out through December and out through January of 2015's expirations, so I think that McDonald's has a lot more room to run here. It looks very strong on a chart. We saw it put in a very strong bottom in October, and it has been extremely strong since then. Again, I'm constantly looking for good order flow, for good bullish setups in McDonald's.
Do you have any price targets you want to throw out there on McDonald's?
I have no price targets as of right now. The options order flow has been all over the place, but I will be looking constantly for that bullish order flow. I want to see one more big block order come in McDonald's.
I would think $100 would be a big number to watch.
Absolutely. That's always a key psychological level as well.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
And that's it for now. Coming up tomorrow, going beyond the fight for 15, how home healthcare workers are feeling the pinch of longer hours and low pay. From all of us at First Business, have a wonderful start to your week.